Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you for joining me today to discuss the implementation of a community risk reduction plan for cooking fires. As we all know, cooking fires are a leading cause of house fires and can result in devastating consequences for our communities. It is crucial that we take steps to reduce the risk our firefighters and residents face with the necessary tools and the knowledge to prevent them. In this presentation, we will discuss the importance of a community risk reduction plan, its budget requirements, and funding sources available to support its implementation. I believe we can work together to make our communities safer and better prepared for potential cooking fires. Hopefully after this presentation, you'll feel the same way. First, let's start off with an explanation of a community risk reduction plan. Here at Iona McGregor, we should all be familiar with this concept, seeing as though we just finished the preliminary evaluation by the Commission on Fire Accreditation International, CFAI. By the way, fingers crossed on the outcome, and hats off to all the administration as they have worked tirelessly after this objective for well over 3 years now. I'm sure that the fruits of their labor will be recognized by the Commission's auditors. A community risk reduction plan is a plan that is a proactive approach to identify and address potential risks within a community. It involves collaborating with local stakeholders to develop and implement strategies that reduce the likelihood of incidents such as cooking fires and minimize their impact. The plan typically includes a comprehensive assessment of community risk factors, identification of key vulnerabilities, and an action plan that outlines specific steps to mitigate those risks. The ultimate goal is to create a safer and more resilient community for all residents. This plan revolves around reducing the number of cooking fires that occur in the district. These fires are a significant problem for communities as they are one of the leading causes of property damage, injuries, and even fatalities. According to the National Fire Protection Association, cooking equipment is the leading cause of home fires and fire injuries in the United States. In fact, cooking fires account for approximately 49% of all reported home fires each year. These numbers also translate very similar to our local level. As you can see, the national statistics are 49% cooking equipment, 19% other, 9% electrical distribution or lighting equipment, 7% are intentional, 7% are smoking materials, and 5% are other equipment. According to the U.S. fire statistics, there are a total of 2,279 fire incidents reported in Lee County, Florida, between 2011 and 2019. Of these statistics, 1,296 were classified as non-residential structure fires, and 683 were classified as residential structure fires. There were also 14 fatalities and 65 injuries reported during this time period. The causes were broken down as primarily being the majority, 40%, were cooking equipment, followed by electrical malfunctions at 13%, intentional fires at 10%, and heating equipment at 9%. Other causes including smoking materials, open flames, and various factors. Reviewing this data is obvious that the community is experiencing a high incidence of residential fires caused by cooking. One would have to assume that there is a lack of awareness on safe cooking practices, inadequate access to proper equipment and resources for individuals to prevent, detect, and mitigate these types of fires. The Iona McGregor Fire District must develop a risk reduction plan for cooking fires that educates the community on safe cooking practices, provides necessary resources, and ultimately reduces the incidence and severity of residential fires to save lives and property. Common characteristics that contribute to cooking fires include unattended cooking, overheating of cooking equipment, flammable materials and grease, placing objects too close to the heat source, a lack of awareness of education on safe cooking practices, and inadequate access to proper cooking equipment. These themes can ultimately lead to residential structure fires that can cause significant damage to property and endanger lives. It is important to be mindful of these potential hazards and take steps to prevent cooking fires from occurring. I propose utilizing the 5 national strategies for loss prevention. I propose utilizing the 5 national strategies for fire loss prevention as a guiding principle in the CRR. 1 is increase advocacy for fire prevention. 2 is conducting a local fire safety educational social marketing campaign. 3 is raising the importance of fire prevention in the fire service. Strategy 4 is promoting technology to enhance fire and life safety. And the last step is to refine and improve the application of codes and standards that enhance public and firefighter safety and preserve community assets. First, we need to identify the high-risk areas in the community, such as multi-unit housing or commercial kitchens. And then we should prioritize our strategies based on factors such as severity of the risk and the prevalence of risk factors. There are several mitigation strategies that can be included in a community risk reduction plan for cooking fires. First, the plan should educate residents on safe cooking practices and the proper use of cooking appliances. This can include information on cooking temperatures, cleaning and maintenance of appliances, and using times to avoid leaving food unattended, or using timers to avoid leaving food unattended. Secondly, the plan should address any language barriers, cooking habits, and socioeconomic factors that may impact fire safety practices. Thirdly, the plan should incorporate multiple channels to reach people, including social media, community outreach events, and partnerships with organizations such as schools and businesses. Fourthly, hands-on training and interactive learning experiences should be included to reinforce safe cooking practices. Finally, continuous evaluation and feedback should be gathered from participants to improve the program and ensure its success. The involvement of community leaders and volunteers can also increase the program's reach and credibility within the community. The following is an 8-step flow chart for the risk mitigation actions to prevent cooking fires. 1, install smoke detectors in the kitchen and surrounding areas. 2, flammable objects and materials. Keep flammable objects and materials away from the stove and oven. 3, always stay in the kitchen while cooking and never leaving food unattended. 4, use a timer to remind when food is cooking. 5, keep a fire extinguisher in the kitchen and know how to use it. 6, in case of the fire, turn off the heat source and cover with a pan or a lid. 7, do not attempt to put out a grease fire with water. And 8, have an evacuation plan in case of a fire and practice with regular. There are several supporting agencies and resources that can be utilized in rolling out a community risk reduction plan. The most important agency is obviously our fire district. We play a critical role in responding to emergencies and enforcing daily regulations. Our other agencies can include Lee County Sheriff's Office, the Public Health Department, community groups, media outlets, radio, and nonprofit organizations. Resources that can be utilized include educational materials such as brochures, flyers, and social media campaigns to raise the information about fire safety and prevention. Training programs can also be developed and offered to community members and businesses on proper fire prevention techniques and equipment to use. It's essential to have a coordinated effort from all these agencies and resources to ensure a successful reduction plan. Last but not least, let's talk turkey. The cost of implementing a community risk reduction plan for cooking fires can vary based on several factors such as the size of the community, the level of risk, and the resources required. As a positive note, most of this plan is based upon inspections and education. Both of these resources require little to no investment on behalf of the district, just time and effort. It's important to note that the cost of implementing a risk reduction plan should be viewed as an investment in safety and prevention rather than expense. In the long run, the cost of responding to emergencies and damages caused by cooking fires can far outweigh the cost of prevention measures. We have a PIO and utilize her media contacts quite regularly. The biggest expense for this endeavor would be the cost of printing our educational brochures. I will get back to you exact figures at a later date. Our district is amply funded by ad valorem tax funds, and a sizable portion of that revenue is allocated to fire prevention. With that being said, there are several other funding resources that we can look into for augmenting the cost of this plan. One option is to apply for federal grants such as FEMA or Department of Homeland Security. These grants can provide funding for equipment, training, and other resources needed for prevention and preparedness efforts. Another option is to seek funding from the Lee County Board of Commissioners and consider expanding this into a county-wide scale. Additionally, partnerships with nonprofit organizations that represent aging and at-risk communities may also provide support, both monetarily and logistically. In the end, it is important to explore all the available options and create a comprehensive funding plan to ensure the success and sustainability of this plan. This concludes my presentation for the day. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. I will look forward to working with all of you on this project and hope to make a substantial impact in preventing or at least reducing these types of fires in the future.